4, 3, 2, go Kory.
Hey folks, good morning to all of you out there. We are coming at you live from the beautiful and historic Sawyer Free Library on Tudale Avenue in Gloucester, Mass. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Heather Atwood. How are you, Heather?
I'm great, Kory. I'm great. It's so exciting to be here. This is the groundbreaking day for they will begin to take apart this whole library and build the new one. There are lots of very shiny shovels outside.
Yeah.
I'm kind of envious. I have shovel envy right now. But it's a very exciting day. All the dignitaries will be here, all the special people.
Yeah, we have a great guest list to share with all of you today. We're going to learn about all the facets of the library and the new programs, the people who enjoy Sawyer Free and also Sawyer Free at their temporary location right now while the work's being done here. But there is a great ceremony going on planned for 3 o'clock this afternoon in the parking lot behind the library. If you'd like to come check it out, there'll be guest speakers and of course a groundbreaking ceremony as well. There's the big pile of dirt and the shovels out there already, which is very cool to see. But are we ready to get underway? We have a lot of people to talk to about this.
So. It's going to be a great conversation.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. Okay, so right off the top, we are joined by Mern Sibley. Mern is the president of the Sawyer Free Library Board of Trustees. Good morning, Mern. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's like, this is so exciting. This is a great day. This is a day of a day of historical importance, really.
Right. A culmination of a lot of events at time.
Culmination and a beginning.
Right. So
Yeah.
can you tell us more, so what has led up to this event?
What has led up is a lot of people working over a long time who really believe that we need a new 21st century library in Gloucester that will do so many things for the community. It will bring in lots of people, lots of perspectives, lots of learning. This new building is going to be absolutely beautiful. And it was a long time coming because we had to raise quite a bit of money. We are still raising money. We're not done, but we're at the point now where the city of Gloucester is our partner in this whole thing. They have given us a loan so we can start construction and continue our fundraising for this wonderful project.
So you've been on the Board of Trustees of the library since 2017.
Correct. You know my history.
Yeah, right. I did my research. But so can you sort of give us a span, the arc of when did the seeds begin to be planted? We need a new library. This isn't.
I would say long
Before then,
Long
yeah.
before then.
Yeah.
There have been efforts, I want to say, through much of the 21st century on
Yeah.
this whole idea. There are lots of people who have been involved over the last several years. But I would say this particular push came about with a realization that there was I think you might call it a bonding or a grant round, one of these technical terms. The state had at its disposal from the Library Board of Commissioners, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, MBLC, they had money available that was significant, that could cover something like 40% of the cost. So he said, we, not me, this was before my time, this would have been in 2015, 2016, let's write up an application and get this going. And that was a very big effort, again, before my time in 2016, where architects were hired to come up with a plan. The library director at the time put together a beautiful program of library services and where they would fit in the new building. That's a lot of work. That was very expensive and time consuming. So we got it in on the deadline, and then in the summer of 2017 is when we heard, that was when I was on the board, we heard we were in that grant around, and we were one of the 10 libraries that was approved in that year.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
And this only, this is like a once in 10 year opportunity, so we were very thrilled.
Right.
So we're going to do this.
And that was $10 million, I believe?
It
Is
was,
that-
a little bit more than 10.
Yeah.
at the time.
So, Maureen, why, this is an expansion, right, of the current building. Why, is there problems with this current facility, or was it just tired?
Yes.
Was it time to innovate?
Tired is one word for it, but also it really was built in the 70s, and a lot has changed since then, as we all know. One is the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. This building was built pre-ADA. There was no provision for any type of handicapped entrance. The elevator is tiny. The bathrooms are very poorly placed. The children's room is on the first floor, which has security issues, unfortunately. So all the focus and making sure the project happens.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but-
raising the money.
Have there been challenges, obviously, during and now post-COVID, especially with anything from supply chain to getting estimates to working with outzoning? Anything?
Everything. Yeah, it's been very, very challenging. I mean, one thing, of course, with fundraising, back in 2021, you couldn't really have events like, oh yeah, we'll invite a bunch of people and have a party and raise. Not happening, So all that slowed our fundraising momentum for a while. It's now picked up a lot. That was hard, but then also with the supply chain stuff and the inflation. So another thing, what you asked about
Right.
the size of the original grant, 10 million, sounds nice. That was about 44% of the cost back then. Now it's like way less than 30. It's like 29%. So we have some very active members on the board, and our library director and others, including Bruce Tarr and Anne-Marie Margaret Ferrante, who got us an additional $1 million. So the grant is now 11 million because of that.
Oh, that's
And
great.
they were helping other libraries too, let me say, not just
Yeah.
Gloucester. The 10 libraries that got those grants back in 2017 were all hurting now because the cost that they had planned on back then is very different than what it is now.
Yeah.
So those are some of the challenges, yeah.
Yeah. Bruce and Anne Margaret are good to know.
Oh,
Anne
yeah.
Margaret will be with us shortly, by the way, too.
Yeah,
so.
Wonderful.
that's so
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
So how can people learn more about supporting the project?
Well, they go to our website, sawyerfreelibrary.org. You will learn all about it from, the history of the library, why we're doing this. There's just a lot of content on our library website. So that's the place to go.
And Mern, I just want to ask, what does this mean to you personally to finally see the shovel go into the ground and the project actually physically move forward?
It's very joyful to me. It's just wonderful. It's just the culmination of a lot of work from so many people. It just feels great, and we're carrying on. It's culmination and then beginning, which is feels great.
Do you get to keep a shovel?
I haven't asked. I will ask.
I really like
You
those
have
shovels.
shovel
I
envy.
do, I do.
They're nice and shiny.
Is your shovel dingy and rusty at home?
It is. It's so. I really need a new shovel.
You can get
But
some.
I'm not pressing.
Yeah,
I'm not
we
pressing.
can put you to work
Yeah,
a little
well,
later on
I'd
today.
be happy to dig. I like digging.
Right, we'll keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Okay.
Mern Sibley, thank you so much for your time and your work that you do for Sawyer Free. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on a historic day,
Yeah.
and
It's
we look forward to chatting again.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The ribbon cutting.
Yes,
Yes.
the ribbon
right?
cutting.
Can you imagine? 2025, right?
We'll be here.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, good to know. All right.
Scissors. You can handle scissors that day. Well,
I don't like scissors as much as
Oh,
shovels.
come on.
I love shovels. I like the backhoe too.
Yeah.
Actually.
All right.
thank you, Mern.
All right.
We
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
That is Mern Sibley. She is the president of the Sawyer Free Library Board of Trustees. Next joining us is Siobhan and Seamus Lucas, and they are library patrons, and they love it here. So we're going to learn about their experiences here too. Heather, I do want to point out one thing that Mern touched upon and that you brought up was the historical room. And I don't know if people realize how much I lean on Sawyer Free Library for my work here at 1623. They're the first shoulder that I tap. Sawyer Free Library, Cape May Museum, whenever I work on my pieces, whether it's political research or research for the timeline, this is who I go to first. And
Yeah.
they did such awesome work during COVID, like unbelievably amazing work. So super appreciative for all their efforts.
And it's basically been a little corner of a big room up until now, right?
Yeah.
The historical section of
Yeah.
Gloucester. And, you know, the history here is 400 years, as we all know. So it deserves a special place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, joining us now is Siobhan and Seamus Lucas. How are you both?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us. So I guess right off the bat, I'll just move this between the two of you. What is your connection to Sawyer Free Library, and what do you love about it?
Ooh, that's a hard one, isn't it? We've been patrons of Sawyer Free since basically his birth, 11 years ago. And we've utilized all of the children's programs from the story time and playtime. And as he's gotten older, we got involved with the grant-funded Young Gloucester Scientist Club, which
Right.
has really helped, you know, solidify an understanding of all the people working hard. And it's great, too, because it's STEM-oriented.
Yeah. Yeah, can you explain a little bit about the Young Scientists Club? Because I've seen the flyers all over the place. I've seen certain programs they've done, but I know they're doing great work as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating. The first program we attended was with the Whale Mobile, which is, I believe,
Right.
Cindy McInnes runs it.
that, yeah.
And that really got us thinking about what we can do to help with whales. And Seamus is very ocean and boat oriented.
Yep.
So the programs through like Maritime Gloucester, and he got to go sailing on our Dell.
Oh, beautiful.
But how do you feel?
It's pretty fun to get to go out on our dell, or we were going to go out in the woods, but the weather didn't really
Cooperate
align.
that day, yeah.
Overall, it's pretty fun to be in the scientists club because they have a lot of really fun events where you don't know if it's the woods, the going out on our dell, being able to study crabs or oysters.
Yeah.
Very cool. So have you been using the interim library in the time that this has been closed,
Yeah.
Seamus? Yeah.
Pretty frequently too. They have many kits there of some are like mechanical, like you build something, or others are you instead of like building something that moves, like
There's like the drones and the
Yeah.
robots and such.
So
Yeah.
you have interactive stuff that you're
Yeah.
doing there. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
So, Siobhan, so what are you looking forward to? It must be exciting for you to see how the library is going to expand and what their future plans are. For your son and students like Seamus and other kids growing up in this community. I just mean, like, why is it so important to you? Like, why does the library mean so much to you?
My grandmother is a librarian. So I was taught very young that libraries are a safe space and a place where you can find answers. And I have a lot of questions. So,
Well, inquisitive minds, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So I've tried to instill that in Seamus, and we've actually, they're working out of such a tiny place, but they have so much to offer. And and the amount of technology between the maker space and the audio and the video recording, I think it's going to open up opportunities for people who don't necessarily have the financial means to access those services. And
That's
I
a
think
great
that's
point.
huge
Yeah.
with the environmental justice and,
So that's why I'd like to ask you both. So when you go to the library, I know they're over at 21 Main Street now, but so Siobhan and Seamus, so when you're there, what are you doing? Because you're obviously doing different things, but utilizing Sawyer Free. So Seamus, when you go to the library nowadays, like what's a normal day for you if you're at Sawyer Free?
Sometimes checking out movies, graphic novels, chapter books. Like I mentioned before, some of the kits they have. They also have, instead of kits, like almost robots, kind of. They had a little one that was like the size of a golf ball.
Oh, really?
It was a plastic outer casing with something inside that just had a weight that would move.
Oh,
In
cool.
it. So you could basically control it from your phone, so it would go around.
Wow.
No.
So do you go there with your friends? Do your friends join you, or you
Sometimes.
sometimes? Does it feel like a place to say, hey, my mom's going to take me to the library. You want to meet me?
Usually.
Yeah, nice. What do you think, Siobhan, about the friendship part and it being a little bit social for kids?
It's nice, post-COVID, it's been hard to kind of figure out how to navigate things, and the Young Gloucester Scientists Club, Seamus has made a couple of friends through there that's a new opportunity, so that was nice.
Outside of school,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That's really important.
And they have similar interests because they're in the Scientists Club, so he met a couple of students from his own school through that club, so he has some more connections, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seamus, I want to ask you, what would you tell your friends who maybe have never gone to Sawyer Free Library or don't go to libraries? Like, what are they missing out on? What would you tell someone to, convince a friend to check it out?
I would talk about most of the events, mainly Ardell, because that was pretty surprising to be able to go out on Ardell for a while.
Yeah.
And I would probably talk about some of the, if they had any books that my friends were interested in, I would talk about those, or some of the kits that they might be interested in. And I feel like it would probably have something of interest for almost anyone, pretty much. I'm not aware of everything there, but most likely someone could find something that they like there.
Yep, I agree. Great point.
So what are you looking forward to most in the new building, the new library?
I'm looking forward to having more space, kind of, because that just gives more space for more types of books, where before it was, since we've been going here for so long, we knew a lot of them. But if there's a lot more room, then they might bring in some new ones or just expand.
Because you've read most of them.
Ones.
Yeah.
Not surprised, yeah.
Or at least the Titanic ones.
Yes, we haven't talked about the Titanic. Give us some your favorite point about the Titanic that you've learned.
Probably my favorite point was learning about how all the theories that people have come up with, how those have kind of developed, and how they may be accurate or inaccurate, and none of them are really proven wrong, but it's mainly like if your friends are saying, oh, this is what happened, you can say that could be what happened, but it was most likely this or that.
Wow.
Seamus understands conjecture.
Yeah, I was
This
gonna
kid is
say,
right up my alley.
exactly.
My whole job is having to do that, Seamus. So I appreciate what you're doing. So Siobhan and Seamus, thank you so much for spending time with us. We're happy for you that you're happy that the library is moving forward with a new groundbreaking today, and I can't imagine what this facility is going to be like in a couple of years from now. And you'll be in high school by then, unless you skip a couple of grades. That's not out of the question for you. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks for
you
being
so
here
much.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Siobhan and Seamus Lucas. Seamus is a middle schooler over at Rockport,
6th grade.
but he's a lifer here at Sawyer Free.
Yeah.
How awesome
I know,
is
it's
that?
wonderful. What
Yeah,
a great
pretty cool,
kid.
huh?
Oh, such a great kid. And mom, gotta
Yes.
say. Hi, Jenny.
All right, so now joining us once again on Cape Ann Today Live is Jenny Benedict. She is a director here at Sawyer Free Library, so a huge day for you as well, Jenny. It's great to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks so much for coming down to the library, and this looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, well, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Of course. So I guess right off the bat, just your initial feelings on the shovels actually hitting the dirt today.
Oh my, what a joyous day of celebration. It's just sort of glorious, and I'm actually very relaxed. It's like you've been working, and it's finally like, we're there.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Well, can you introduce us to, the community, to the new building? Tell us what all the bells and whistles are going to be. And they're not really bells and whistles, they're substantial programming and substantial pieces, like, for instance, the LEED Gold certified part of the building, but all the other parts. Introduce us to the new place.
Sure, absolutely. So let's see, where do we start? I think we start by saying that we have preserved a big part of our history with this project in terms of the 1976 building that we're currently in. The facade will remain. And then we do a complete reimagination and revitalization of its interior. And we add on 14,000 square foot addition into the parking lot, which is a 3-story building. So we're about doubling the size of our library.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Seamus will have a lot more books.
No kidding. We're gonna do snow angels in all the rooms.
So let's talk about the second floor first,
Sure.
because that is the entire second floor is dedicated to children.
Oh, wow, okay.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. So the children's room will be about double the current size. Also on that floor is a teen space and a teen creation space within that space. So first dedicated space for teens and tweens outside of school in Gloucester.
Very
Fabulous. Yeah.
On that floor also a children's program room. So all the children's programs will happen, STEM, arts, hands-on activities, interactive presentations, all in their own room.
All right.
Yeah, so that's great. And also in the children's room, a dedicated early learning center for preschoolers and toddlers and even babies. So that'll be a space for them to discover their first books.
Wow.
That's wonderful. That's such a great. that's so
Unbelievable.
important.
Yeah, and I most recently I have a 20-month-old granddaughter, and
Congratulations.
so thank you. So I'm very excited about seeing her explore. Well, I guess in 2 years' time, she'll just right.
She'll be toddling
Oh,
around.
she'll be causing trouble and running around, yeah.
Yeah.
She'll be about ready to migrate into the children's room
Yeah.
by then.
Is she reading yet?
She can count to 4.
Oh, that's pretty good. 20 months. She's advanced.
She's advanced. She is. She's advanced.
Yeah.
So from our perspective, it's just so important for every child in Gloucester to have the collections and the technology and the staff assistance and the programming so that they can enter school ready to learn and progress through their entire formative years of education.
Yeah.
So that's what we bring to Gloucester.
Very
with the
nice.
children's floor.
So Jenny, so right now, to just touch upon the sustainability of the new building too, this is going to be fossil free? Is that?
Fossil free, Yes.
First in Gloucester, right?
Well, first in Gloucester that will generate its own energy on site.
Oh,
Yes.
how's that going to
Yeah.
happen?
So we will have a solar array on the building, and yes, so that'll be generating, and we'll also have battery storage
Oh,
for that.
great. Yeah.
So fossil fuel, what that means is there's no oil and there's no natural gas coming into the building. All of our building systems are powered through electricity.
So heat pumps are important, right?
Yes.
That's part of the process, yeah.
Yes, heat pumps are what power, particularly the heating, ventilation, cooling system.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So was that a big part of when conceptualizing this new building in the future for Sawyer Free?
So we had 3 primary design principles, shall we say. One, sustainability, second, accessibility, and then health and safety. So we're committed to 2 21st century sustainability standards, and that's LEED Gold and also Mass Save 1, which is the zero net energy
Right.
piece of it. So definitely this building is going to be a demonstration project and an educational resource for the community on sustainability. We layer on top of that we are committed to educating people of all ages about how to live in a way that's in balance with our planet. 2 other pieces of it, I would say, is our staff has really understands our profound responsibility to provide both safety, trusted information about sustainability, and they have now embedded it as a core value into our foundational principles. So, and these building blocks are all what led Congressman Moulton to nominate our library for a national medal.
Saw that. Very impressive. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. That's quite the honor, and we look forward to seeing how that'll go in the spring. Yeah.
So before we turn back to here, I just wanted to take you over to 21 Main Street for a second.
Yeah.
So folks, because obviously Sawyer Free Library is still open, doing
Yeah.
its regular thing. So what can
Yeah.
people do with Sawyer Free Library now at the
Yeah.
temporary location?
So there's a little bit of everything, of something for everyone, I would say. Definitely, we have about 50% of our collections still on site. And we are offering programming in multiple locations throughout the community. So we're still working with our partners, still holding our story times, throughout the community.
I thought all the work with the archives too, I found very impressive as well. It's
Yes.
been a huge help for me.
Good. So yes, we have digitized about 60 years worth of the Gloucester Daily Times.
Yeah.
And it is now keyword searchable.
Yeah.
So, we've had visitors come to Gloucester and they have relatives that lived here, like grandparents, and they go down to the library, and our wonderful librarians will look up in census records, where did they live, what were the addresses, then you can plug all that into the Gloucester
that.
Daily Times and find anything to do, with family.
So
Really
Jenny,
So cool.
what can people expect who live around here during the next year and a half, or 18 months, I believe? Is that the length of the project?
I'll say 22.
So, but what can people expect right here in downtown Gloucester?
Yeah, so next week you will see the surveyors out starting to put stakes around the perimeter of the property. The week after, the fencing gets delivered and will go up. We will be blocking off the sidewalks in front of the building on Dale Avenue and also back here. Then the construction equipment rolls in. The first piece of work will be out in the parking lot and some of the demolition inside of this building. So that's going to go for a good 6 months or so.
Right.
And then next year you will start to see the building go up, the new addition go up. And following that, it'll be all the interior finishes.
Yeah, amazing. And confident sticking to the timeline too, right? We're getting there, right? I mean, look, today's a big day. Things are happening one foot in front of the other.
My approach is we always have a plan, we have a timeline, and we work to that timeline until there's something that disrupts it, and then we readjust.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we get good stretches of 6 months where we're cooking through our timeline, and other times it's a little bumpier, but we've
Well,
gone through it all. So
As
far.
I recall, you arrived at the Sawyer Free Library during COVID.
I
Is that
did.
right?
I did.
So you have already weathered some storms.
Yes.
And the fact that this is right on schedule is kind of amazing.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Absolutely. Yeah.
Jenny, if people want to find out more about this project or Sawyer Free Library in general, how can they go about doing that? And how can they help out with the project moving forward?
Yes. Well, we are still fundraising for the project. We will be fundraising throughout the construction period. And so SawyerFreeLibrary.org is the center place for all information. We will be starting a blog-style bi-weekly project bulletins of what's going on with the project itself.
On the site.
On our
Sawyer Free-
website, yeah. And I think we will also be sending that out through like a
Your newsletter?
newsletter
Yeah.
format. So there'll be, much more available about exactly where we are and what comes next. Yeah. So one of the things that'll happen fairly quickly in the parking lot is our rainwater collection system, which is another part of our sustainability initiatives. So we have an 8,000 gallon tank that will come and be put into the parking lot under the parking lot. So I'm really looking forward to the delivery of that day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So wait, it's under the parking lot, so
Yeah.
drains, the water will collect on the surface and then go down
Yeah.
underground.
Yeah, so it'll collect all the rainwater from the roof. That'll all drain into it.
It's a lot.
Then there's an irrigation system, so it will water all of our outdoor plants and trees.
So that's how it will be used.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I want to see that tank too.
yeah.
Yeah. I will call you and say, please.
Tank's
It's
coming
coming.
today.
I need to
Come
know.
see it. Come see it. See it. Go in.
Yeah.
Well, lastly, Jenny, I mean, I think we started this with the top, but again, what this day means to you. And of course, we're talking about the Sawyer Free's groundbreaking ceremony, which is 3 o'clock today, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
if you want to come in to the big tent and the parking lot out back. But yeah, what does this mean to you to see this finally move forward?
What it means is just we have secured the Sawyer Free Library for future generations of Gloucester. That's what it means to me.
Nicely said. Well, we appreciate your time and your work as always, Jenny. We'll catch up with you down the road sooner than later, I'm sure.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being with
Congratulations
us.
on that little grandchild. Can't wait to see her too.
Thank you, Jenny. It's Jenny Benedict. She is the director here at Sawyer Free.
Yeah,
Always a
we-
great guest as well, Heather. We've had her
She
on
is.
on our Zoom interviews a few
We
times.
met her, yeah, the first
Yeah.
over Zoom when she first arrived.
Yeah. Are we ready for our next guest?
I think we are.
As we roll on here, we are Cape Ann today. She is Heather Atwood. I'm Kory Curcuru coming to you live from the old Children's Library at Sawyer Free Library, where today at 3 o'clock, the groundbreaking ceremony for the new library for 2025 will take place here if you want to be a part of that. In the meantime, we are rolling through a ton of great guests, including now Colleen and Sophia Hogan-Lopez.
Yes.
It's great to meet you both. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. So I guess right off the top, who are you and why is Sawyer Free Library so important to you?
Well, we know they're a library family.
Right.
You're right? Yeah,
We
tell us
already
about
are.
all.
Yeah.
I'm currently the president of the Friends of the Sawyer Free Library. And this is my daughter. I have 3 girls, and we've always been involved in the library. I chose to be a stay-at-home mother, so the library was hugely important for me when my girls were little, when we would come and take part in a lot of the programs that the Sawyer Free Library offered in the children, and even just coming and being in the children's space and looking at books was beneficial, and they loved coming.
And just sort of fundamentally as a mom, was it great to have a place to take your kids
Yes.
to get out of the house and just
Yes.
do something that didn't cost money?
Right? That was the key, is that especially when you're a stay-at-home mom, you're working on one income. And so a lot of the programs that we tried to do we didn't have a choice. They had to be, funded, or we could afford them. And just the staff would treat my girls like they were, and whatever they had to say was important, and whatever they were reading was important. And that's good for their going forward in life, as, the choices that they were making.
That's such an interesting point of view, that you were
Yeah.
having other adults sort of recognize you.
Yes.
They weren't teachers and they weren't your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they say, it takes a village.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, so Sophia, what were some of those programs or events happening while you were growing up here that,
We
that
loved them
meant a lot?
all.
Yeah?
I know my sisters and I loved the animal, like the events that would go on. They bring in animals, any of the kind of book. We just loved reading, and I think we loved reading together, and also just those conversations we'd have were amazing. We loved all the programs. We loved the food ones too, the cooking programs. We did ones in high school and middle school ourselves, running them ourselves. They let us do that for community service. We loved that. So many events.
And
which
you
is
did community
fantastic.
service when you got older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It just struck me that I think I've met you both before here at a program where I brought my dog in because my wife's a veterinarian. And so she let the kids play with the dog, and I think I remember, and I think I actually have the video of you playing with the dog, our dog
sure
Jack.
we loved
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Sure we
It was
loved
great.
that.
And we
Yeah.
asked
That was our
about how
favorite.
veterinarians worked, and
Yeah.
and he was a great dog for that program.
Yeah.
But that's where I remember, like,
There's
now
three
I
of
know.
them,
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to talk about the incredible success of all these programs because
They're
where do you go
amazing.
to college?
I attend Harvard.
And your sister
Yeah.
does also?
My sister does too, Olivia.
So I think every family just ran out and tried to
I
get a library card.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope so.
Right?
Because you
right.
can't lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
no way you can lose on
Yeah.
getting a library card.
So tell us about the Friends of the Library. What do you do? What kind of work do
So
you
the
do?
Friends of the Sawyer Free Library were volunteers, and we did have a bookstore upstairs that we were selling and donated books. The proceeds, we also had an art auction that we were doing annually, and the proceeds would go towards funding for the library. We had it in our budget, and a lot of the funding went towards the children's room. I don't know exactly, the amount, but a lot of, new furniture that was bought, the new computer systems that were put in was funded by the Friends of the Sawyer Free Library. So going forward, our goal is to, when the library is near completion and Jenny or the group to be that decides what they need, we will decide how and what we have to afford to purchase. And we would love it to be towards the children's part of the library.
So sort of like the way the PTO works. They
Yes.
come to you and say,
Yes.
we would love for you to fund
Exactly.
this for us. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And how many parents are involved or how many people are involved? And-
Right now, I think we're 12 to 15, and it's slowly. We haven't really been meeting because the library hasn't been open, but we hope to ramp it back up. Maybe probably in a year. We still meet. We still talk online and do our monthly reports, but there's not a lot happening because we're not raising any money, and we're not spending any money. So we do fund the museum passes as well. So that is something that the Friends,
such
they
a great thing.
purchase that. And we've taken advantage of the museum passes going to Boston or any of the other museums that are on the program. And they save you a lot of money. And so, the Friends purchase those as well.
Those are so great. So it's Boston Museums, at Museum of Science.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the entire list, but I know that it's online.
Yeah.
If you go on the Friends of the Sawyer Free Library, they have museum passes, and I think now it's been updated that you can. I might be wrong, but I think you can reserve them online, so it makes it easier.
It's so easier. And you
Yeah.
run in there and pick them up
Yes,
and go
exactly.
off to Boston.
Yeah.
Or the Cape Ann Museum.
We did
Yeah.
that so many times.
Yeah.
Oh, you know the route.
Yeah, we do.
So, Sophia, having spent so much time when you were younger being at the library, I'm sure it was a big issue for the library and how it could move forward and work in the future with younger people, right? I mean, the advent of the internet and social media and all that, I would imagine less younger people are utilizing libraries. Like, I think that was probably an issue and probably the expansion of services and offerings in the new library that's going to help them. But what do you gauge the interest is of younger people? Like, do you find that they would use libraries? Have you found it from your friends? Were they in libraries growing
I
up like
think
you
so.
were?
Yeah, my friends at least. I think some people like to use online resources. I love a physical copy. I think a lot of my friends, we need books for school and everything. I think that that's been a huge part of our work ethic, and having like a physical copy of a book, not having to buy everything is a huge thing too. The schools do require a lot of books to be bought, and I think that the library has always been a great resource in that sense. Yeah, at least my sisters and I and our friends, I think, we all enjoy the libraries and,
Well,
the books.
and how
and
about
all the
with-
resources of the libraries too.
Yeah, how about and going to a neutral physical space? Like
Yeah.
you're not in your room, or you're just not with your friends somewhere else, but you're going
It is
to
true. There are 3 of us in the house, so at least one of us likes to go to the library. It's true. Yeah.
What are you studying, Sophia?
Spanish literature and language.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Lots of books.
Very true. Yes.
So, Colleen, what do you anticipate the new renovations in Sawyer Free 2025? What's that going to mean for this community?
I think that in the last few years, I think the library was underutilized. I don't know if it was because people, like you said, are on the internet.
And COVID.
And COVID. COVID was like, it really, people were not going out at all. But going forward, this is going to be an amazing space. I mean, we heard from Jenny saying even just the sustainability of it. If that can go forward in our community, we are a community that's on the water, and we're going to be affected by climate change. If we can move forward and show other communities, or even our own community, what we can do. But as a community space, we're going to have rooms, and we're going to have open spaces, and we're going to have where people can meet and they can talk about books, or they can just come in and get a book and leave because they're busy and they just want to read independently. And I think for like Sophia's age and younger, it's going to mean a space where people can come together and connect, where the internet is all fun and games, but you need that human interaction to be able to go forward in the world. Like for jobs, there's a lot of, you can't live in your room on a computer. You need to sometimes go out and react. And if you can interact with people in a library where it's a safe zone, and you feel like you're not being pressured to interact, you're not in a job where you have to interact, then I think people will maybe come and sit on a couch and read a book and just feel that comfort of it. I always felt the library was comfortable for me. I loved the library growing up when I was younger. And I always brought my kids, and I always felt like it was a space where there was no judgment, and you could read whatever you wanted, and you could sit for as long as you wanted. You didn't have to get kicked out like a cafe. And people need to know that they have those spaces still available.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
great
think
point.
that in-person piece is
It's
so
amazing,
important. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, and I'd say mostly for kids.
Yes.
For younger people.
Yes.
To learn how to interact and say hello, and they're adults, but also your peers. Some of them will show up too. Yeah.
And you meet friends.
Yeah.
And you meet friends from other schools that are not in your school, or other communities when they're doing the programs. You meet tons of when I used to love just watching all the little kids playing together. I mean, like interacting together. They didn't know that they were from all different schools. When they're here, they're all the same.
Right, exactly. And also, I mean, what I love about libraries is wandering around looking for a book to read.
Exactly.
And that, I guess it happens in bookstores, but there are not so many bookstores
Yeah.
either. But that
like a kid in a
experience,
candy shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unique to
It
just wander up and down an aisle and say, oh, there's this book and that book.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even the day you get your library card, like for the little ones, I remember it, they remember it. It's like you feel so important. You've got this first piece of identification that's yours, and you can go and they get a book.
Yeah.
It's just a fun feeling.
It is special, really
Yeah.
special.
And also when you're lost in wandering and looking through books too, you sort of learn to not to judge a book by its cover,
It's
right?
so
Because you never know what you pull from the
Yeah,
shelves could
right.
capture your eye.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing experience. So Sophia, I want to know what advice you would give to younger students out there, kids who maybe don't utilize the library or haven't thought about going there, don't think it's cool or whatever. Like, what do you tell that little girl or boy somewhere?
Well, like you said, I think just finding out new authors, people that you never heard about before, is just amazing. And going to a library, you can do that. I think that's a huge point. And I love doing that as well. So that would be my advice, just to try new authors, trying to look for new books, perhaps get out of your comfort zone a little bit. That would definitely be my advice, just to go and try out some books. And it's no pressure. It's just the library.
Right. Just pull it off a shelf,
Yeah.
look at it, read the first page.
Definitely.
Oh, that looks great, or no, I don't like that. You can't do that. Well, maybe you can do a little bit of that
Yeah.
online.
But there's
it's
no
not-
pressure of buying it or anything.
Right,
Just,
right, yeah.
I love that stack that you get when you leave. It's so
That's
exciting.
great. My whole week is set. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we appreciate you both joining time with us.
you.
We're happy for you both too.
Thank
you seem
you.
so happy about what's happening here.
We are.
It's
so
very
excited.
exciting time.
It's exciting for the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Colleen and Sophia, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Enjoy.
good day.
Happy reading.
And when they did because she was a COVID graduate
Oh,
that year,
gosh.
you guys did the interviews? The,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, from
The
Oh.
salutatorian.
Oh, you were.
graduation.
She was the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
salutatorian
Yeah.
graduation.
Oh,
It was great
Yeah.
seeing
We
you
had
again.
it set up in our house, and I don't know if you did it or not, but,
We didn't record.
yeah.
It was recorded by
but it
60.
was recorded by 60.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well,
Well,
congratulations,
look at that.
Sophia.
We're ubiquitous, Heather.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing. Yeah. So that was Colleen and Sophia Hogan Lopez. Amazing stuff there too. Now John Brennan is going to join us, Heather, and he is the president of the Sawyer Free Library Foundation. How are you, John?
Hi, Kory, how are you?
Great to see you.
Yep.
Thanks
me
for being
too.
here with
Nice
us.
to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you.
So this is an exciting day, huh?
Yes, it is. A very exciting day.
So can you just explain your involvement with Sawyer Free, how that all came about, what
Sure.
today means to you?
So I've been involved with this project for about 10 years. Okay, I started out as a library patron, grew onto the library board, was on a library board for several years, and then I became president of the library board, and then I spun off the library board to start the Sawyer Library Foundation a few years ago.
And what is the Sawyer Free Library Foundation?
Sawyer Library Foundation is a spin-off, essentially, to raise money for the capital project, which you see here today. Okay, so our goal was to just raise funds, raise capital, and gather the monies, gather the private raise for the library. Yep.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell us about your life as a library patron, coming in
So-
and checking books.
You know, I love these stories because one of the things that I really like about the library is you can have we all have our own intellectual journeys, okay? And they're writ small and then they braid to something much larger. As the library, you can come in and you can, just as your prior guest says, you can have a lark. I recently got a book about hostas. Do I want to buy a book about hostas? Not really. But
I'm going to borrow it after you.
yeah, exactly. Big broadleaf plants that deer like to eat.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
fun to have something to sort of dip into. And the other thing too I like about the library is, I listen to a lot of my books these days, okay, on Audible. But I like military history, and I like to get the books for the maps. I like to look at things,
Me too.
And libraries also here for visual learners as well as those who love to read. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah.
So, John, when you're seeing the project move forward, I think Jenny spoke to some of the challenges. One, it's a lot of money to raise,
Yep.
and then you're doing it through this period of time where there are supply chain issues, and then there's COVID's happening, and inflation, of course. So, how have you all sort of met those challenges, or tried to navigate around them?
We have just as the culture has. COVID was a real challenge. A couple things about that. One of the things COVID showed was the need for face-to-face interaction. Okay, I think we saw that the library certainly has a place, if only to host people. Maybe they're a board formulating a new company or a new nonprofit. We see the need for just a pure space where individuals can meet. It's safe, it's free, it's non-commercial. So one of the things about COVID sort of demonstrated the relevance of the library and this project, as far as I'm concerned. It was a challenge to deal with COVID because raising money is a face-to-face, it's a relationship, it's an interactive event, so that was challenging. It was challenging to form an organization through Zoom, and it taught us a lot about that. But, we did what we had to do, okay? And we raised the first tranche of funds, and I'm proud of what the foundation was able to accomplish.
Yeah, it taught a lot of people to be nimble
Yes.
very, very quickly. We were a TV studio without a TV studio.
Yeah,
And,
right.
and had to
Yeah.
rely on each other, and you missed that face-to-face as well.
Right. Yep.
So,
Well, so were you? You thankfully had the money coming from the state library
Yep.
board.
40%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was originally 40%, and then because of inflation, the cost of the library went up, so that percentage went down. Is that right? Am I
Yep.
getting that right?
I think there's a I want to say there's legislation to sort of correct some of that.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yep.
good. Yeah.
So,
Were you reaching out specifically to this community?
yes.
And how did
okay.
you feel about that effort? Did you feel satisfied? Did you feel the warmth? Did you feel the love?
Yes, yes, okay. Felt the love, there's more love to come. There's tremendous affection for this institution, both in this community and then libraries. So many people have their individual sort of love stories to libraries. So we attracted a donor from Arlington who gave us funds to have a matching raise, which we did about last year end. And so I think there's more heartstrings to pull. There's more stories like that we can tell. So, it's a story of telling our story to this community and expanding outward. Yep. There's always more you can do. But
I think I remember. It was a woman from Arlington?
Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
I remember that. We heard about that story
Yep.
through Chad Konecki.
That's right.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Exactly.
Right. It was
Yep.
so impressive. She just sort of learned that this library needed funding, right? And
Yep.
she thought, I could do that.
Yep. And I want to say she offered 100,000 and it was matched threefold.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's
So
wonderful.
that's the kind of stories you put some of those together.
Right.
Okay. And the other thing, the next phase is probably going to be, in a raise, you want to start with big donors and then sort of work yourself down. So I think there's going to be another sort of tranche where maybe we can find, more modest donors who can bundle things together. You go from wanting to sponsor a
Where's the
room.
next Mr. Sawyer?
Yeah, the next Mr.
Right,
Sawyer.
yeah.
That's one of my lines. Thank you, Kory. And then go to the next Mr. Sawyer. So if you can't fund a room, maybe you can sponsor a bookshelf, or a shelf on a bookshelf, or a chair. There's ways we can continue the momentum
Yeah.
forward.
Interesting.
Yep.
So what does today mean to you, John, when you see the shovels in the dirt outside and the dignitaries starting to line up?
Well, it's been a long haul.
Yeah.
So for me, I think of it as Apollo 11, the moon rocket. Okay, one stage of the rocket lops off, and the next one is to come. There was the library director before Jenny Benedict was Deborah Kelsey, and I remember her giving me some sage words, but essentially amounted to, it's a long haul, but if you stay in the game, you'll get there eventually. So today is one phase of the rocket launch,
Yeah.
and I'm glad to see it. It's progress.
Yeah.
It means tremendous progress.
Yeah, nicely put. Because I was thinking, John, even like 5-10 years ago, and I know the multiple boards here at Sawyer Free were talking, and I was part of a couple of meetings as well on
Yep.
the future of a library in this
Yep.
community. How is that going to change? And it's still brick and mortar. It's still a gathering place.
Yep.
There's still all these features and facets. But was there ever any worry on your mind about, is a library sustainable in a community anymore, like a physical building anymore? As times and technology change? I mean, we know the answer is yes, but
Yeah.
was there ever a doubt for a little bit there?
In my mind,
Yeah.
no. Okay? And I say this because, people are technology. I call that the vanity of the now. Okay? Each generation, each iteration sort of goes through its phase where it's like, oh my gosh, this is world changing. It's never going to be the same. This is going to blow things out of the water. Okay? And I have a story I could tell about that. But in time, you look back and say, that was really silly. Libraries have been with us, I want to say, since ancient Greece. Okay? So that's thousands of years. The technology hasn't really changed all that much. Okay? So are we so much smarter than all those thousands of years of human history where we can say, oh, we don't need these library things anymore? I don't think so. Okay? I'm just a believer. I'm an evangelizer. That's why I'm here. Yep.
And so many people today have mentioned the face-to-face part, how
Right.
important that is.
Right,
And
exactly.
whether it's taking the actual book off the shelf or seeing your librarian.
Yep.
Yeah. All those shared
Exactly.
experiences that they're
Right.
having as well.
So a good quote that's been thrown around, Google will give you an answer, a librarian will give you the right answer. Okay, just to show that, all these collections are curated, right? And so even Gloucester's history is something that's going to be curated. That's something that's going to be part of this facility. Every edition of the Gloucester Daily Times going to come out of the basement of City Hall digitized, be someplace safe. That means a lot, okay? And we don't know how that could be leveraged down the line. We don't know how, something like cod fisheries, that has the stats, that has the biomass that came into this harbor. That could be very important data someday. We just don't know. But the important thing is the library is a repository for that, has those collections, and will be there for hopefully future scientists.
Yeah, and in a day and age when facts are blurred very, very easily, that can't really happen at a library.
And the other thing too, to that point, Kory, is that there's a lot of divisiveness in our culture right now. Libraries still kind of have that glow. There's still the essence of the common good. There's still a lot of belief. I don't think people are fighting about books, but I don't think people are fighting about the fact that libraries should be in communities. They might be fighting about the books that should be in the library, but people still want the library.
That's an interesting point on that issue.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
That's, the space is still sacred.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
So John, what are next steps for you in raising more capital to continue to fund the project here?
So what I hope to do is I hope to reach the point where I can talk to individual donors. I hope to sort of support the raise that way. I have what's called institutional knowledge, just because I've been around for a while. And so I hope I can leverage that and be closer to the face-to-face fundraising.
Well, we appreciate your work and your time, and we're happy for you and the efforts here and making our community shine brighter for many generations to come.
Great.
It's very cool work.
Great.
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. That is John Brennan. He is the president of the Sawyer Library Foundation.
Doing the work.
Great stuff there, huh?
Yeah, and I love his Hosta book.
Yeah. Folks, if you're just tuning in, she is Heather Atwood, and I'm Kory Curcuru, coming to you live from Sawyer Free Library. We're in the former Children's Library, but the groundbreaking ceremony is happening just a few hours from now, 3 p.m. today, in the parking lot in the back, right by the fire station, if you want to come check that out. Well, surprise, surprise. Mayor Greg Verga has decided to join us. How are you?
Great, good to see
great
you
to
guys.
see you.
Great to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Once again, how are you? It's great to see you. Big day today, right?
Exciting day.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that has come into this. And so can you sort of give us a backstory on the city's involvement and how to help push this massive project forward?
Yeah, well, as far as the push, it's a lot of promotion from the city, a lot of support from the city in terms, just I guess emotional support for the project. But the big one that helped get this moving along was, I guess to put it down to the simplest terms, is to use the phrase that we sort of co-signed the loan. So the city did do through the city council a bond authorization for the full $29 million for the project. But that enabled them, the library board and foundation, to get $10 million, I believe that it was upped from the state's Mass MLBC, Mass Library Board of Commissioners.
Right.
So, but that leaves the $19 million to be paid. We're on the hook, we the city, but there is a fundraising operation in the works now. I believe they're up to about $18.5 or $19 million. So, and we did sign an MOU with the library folks, and they will be raising the money until they raise all the money, including the interest. So it's a pretty good investment for us, just by us stepping into, again, use that phrase, to co-sign the loan, enable this project to move forward and get the support they needed from the state. And show that we, the city, have skin in the game. So when the big funders are out there, the donors, it's like, oh, they have a little more feeling that this is real because the city's behind it.
But just to be clear, it's not city money that is going into the project.
Right. So we'll be, yes, borrowing the money and repaying the money. But as the donations come in, it goes into an account within the city to pay it.
Right.
So
right.
There's enough of a cushion because it's not. They start the project, we pay back $29 million, it's paid over time. So it should be a good flow that the money's coming in, we're paying the mortgage bill as it comes in.
Right.
But I'm pretty excited about this arrangement to get something done. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the council was very happy to be on board with this arrangement, with this, right?
And I have to say, we've always spoken on Zoom, so it's really strange to be sitting here
That's right.
with you
I
guys
know.
in person.
That's true,
We
I
have met in
agree.
person,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's just really
Yeah.
odd. And the council was on board, yes, I believe it was a 9-0 vote, and they supported it. The case was made, it was made very clear, what I just outlined to you guys, that we are on the hook if for some reason everybody who's involved in the fundraising moves away and says we're not raising any more money, we are on the hook. I have zero fear that that's going to happen, that there'll still be a fundraising operation until we get this thing paid off in full.
Right.
So, Greg, as the Sawyer Free moves forward now in a refreshed and reinvigorated space and is going to be here for future generations, what does this mean to the city of Gloucester?
Oh, well, I mean, we're almost a quarter of the way through the 21st century, but still, it brings us into the 21st century as far as library sciences go. And it's just got so much to offer, you know, a video and audio and video recording space, 110-person meeting space. It's the library of today is not, someone said to me once, well, we don't need a library, we have the internet. And then I says, well, that's basically why we need a library, because of that kind of thinking. You know, Wikipedia is not the library. So I think this is just something that's preparing our kids for tomorrow, and it's just a whole new way of doing business. And I'm glad that we're finally able to make it happen. Have I said I'm excited? So I am truly excited about where we go from here.
I'm going to ask this question in a different way. As the mayor of a city, what do you think it means to say, hey, we've got this really great new library right here?
Well, it just shows that we're a world-class city. You know, we've got we just passed a walking tour for the Hopper exhibit as we were walking across the street.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got the Cape Ann Museum, we've got our library, we've got, so the arts and culture in this city has just begun to shine brighter than it ever has before. And the library is going to be a key component, especially down here in the Civic District with the museum, City Hall, and the new library. So it just puts
1623 Studios right over
Oh,
there.
and of course, it's not a triangle, it's
The crown jewel of downtown.
1623, absolutely. I'm
Sorry, I had to say
apologies. But yeah, so it really shows what our priorities as a city are. You know, and when people come to town, they see a brand new state-of-the-art library and one that's going to be maintained. So when it's not brand new, it'll still be a great library. It just shows that, you know, we really care about our people and provided them a lot more than just, you know, roads and water and sewer.
Right. It'll be interesting to see how the public responds to this supersized Sawyer Free in 2025, because I said it a couple of times earlier, but I don't think people have an idea of how much Sawyer Free actually offers so many different people. It's not just where you go and get a book and check it out, or maybe go and see a VHS tape somewhere. Like, there's so much more going on here. Was there any worry with you in maybe public perception of the need for a library moving forward? Or was it just like, this is sort of a slam dunk, folks?
Yes, exactly. I mean, obviously I had that one thing I mentioned before, but I think overall people appreciate it and see it as a good thing. You know, and once you've explained the funding and it's like, okay, it's not going to be a burden to me tax-wise, it's like, okay, well, this is a no-brainer for us. Let's move forward with it. But, you know, one of the things I was thinking about reflecting on the library, I mean, I vaguely remember when just the Saunders House was the library, because this was built in '76. I was 8 years old, and I remember coming here doing school projects. But fast forward, when CDs came out, compact discs for all you what do you call them, millennials out there, they were expensive. I remember they were just telling Pam in my office, CDs cost $18 back in the 80s, late 80s and 90s. That's a lot of money.
That was a lot of money.
CD players were, were
And they were
expensive.
$400 a piece.
Yeah.
They used to rent, not just CDs, loan CDs and CD players. You know, so before I could afford a CD player, you know, my massive record collection was useless because my record player broke. But I was able to borrow a CD player and, you know, and just ease into the purchase of one.
Yeah, and you can still get CDs here too, for books or for music.
The Seeds of Music with the Mayor, right here at the
Right,
Sawyer
that's
Free
where it all
Library,
began.
right?
So how is the city going to help moving forward to raising capital or to see the project through? What are the next steps now?
Right. Well, there's always been a partnership. So the library is sort of independent. You know, we provide salaries for some of the staff, but when we went through this arrangement to co-sign the loan, that's the easiest phrase I can use, we actually had to have it switched over. So we are the owners temporarily. So that would enable us to borrow the money and them to capitalize on the state loan. Eventually, it's going to go back to them and be basically semi-autonomous. But we'll continue to promote it. As far as fundraising, you know, individually we could do it. The city's not going to be out, raising money. That's kind of not our realm. But we are going to continue to spread the good word of this project.
Yeah.
And do everything we can
Well,
to make
and
it through.
I guess even to clarify this more, what is the city's relationship with the library? Does the city own the library, or like is it the same one as like Cape Ann Museum? Like how are they separate entities?
Yeah, I'm not sure at what point in history it became sort of the semi-autonomous thing where they have ownership and complete oversight. You know, like I said, Jenny, the library director, is on us, and we do some custodial services. But they are, in a sense, their own entity, and their own rulemaking, things like that. So I'm not looking to upset that apple cart. Once we get this new building underway and completed, and we revert back to the way things were, that's okay with me.
You looking forward to having a shovel in your hands today?
Yes, I love having a shovel in my hands. A nice shiny chrome shovel. Can't wait.
Me too. So my last question is, I want to jump back to you as a kid coming to the library, and also your kids. Did they use the library? Tell us about those experiences.
So I was just talking to my wife about it, and I said, she said, I don't remember bringing the kids. She says, well, you were working. I brought them all the time. And I said, oh, okay, well, that makes more sense. But I do remember as a kid being right in here. I think the copy machine was out in the hallway here, and I was doing a book report with a classmate of mine in like 4th or 5th grade on Bigfoot, Sasquatch for some of you people. And I just remember photocopying some of the pages. That's how you did book reports. You just photocopied the pictures and stick them together. So yeah, it was just a great place to go and get away and read some books and borrow some books, and some things never change. That's going to be the root of what the library's about, but with so many more things, as we've mentioned. Started with the CDs and the CD players, and who knows what tomorrow the technologies will be breaking here first.
Yeah.
All those 4th graders doing Sasquatch research. There'll be many of them.
We didn't have any major findings, I should mention.
No.
Is there any feature or facet of the new library that's has made a certain impression on you, or that you're looking forward to?
Well, definitely I'm excited about the extra meeting space, but the recording studio, if that resource were available when I was in high school as a musician, that would have been terrific. And nowadays, most of us can have a studio on our laptops or even our iPhones, but when I was starting out, if I had a place to go that actually had the quality setup that this will have, that'd be amazing. So I'm really grateful on behalf of the musicians of today, the younger kids who will have this opportunity.
Yeah, that's a game changer for sure.
Little muscle shoals happening here at the Sawyer Free Library.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, we're glad you were able to squeeze us in for a little bit today. We know it's a busy day for everybody, an exciting day here for Sawyer Free Library. So we appreciate your time as always.
Yes.
And I'm sure we'll be talking to you sooner than later, maybe through Zoom again, unfortunately. But
Well, I mean, we just have a drinking game out there. How many times excited is Pless said during these interviews? I think this 4 minutes we've been here, it's probably about 16 times.
yeah, we'd be asleep before the interview is over, though. But thank you so much once again. It's great seeing you. Congratulations as well for being part of the success here. And I'm sure we'll probably tap your shoulder 1 or 2 other times as the project moves forward to learn more about it. So,
Thank you both. Thanks for
thank
everything
you
do.
very much.
Great to see you in person.
Gloucester Mayor Greg Verga, and he will be. Greg, are you speaking this afternoon too as well? You have a few words for.
Yes, I am.
You will? Okay. So not only wielding the shovel, but he will actually be speaking a little bit later today. That ceremony starts at 3 p.m., by the way. I think it goes till 4:30 or so. But it's pretty exciting stuff. So as we wait for our next guest here, just a quick reminder that you're watching Cape Ann Today live from Sawyer Free Library. The groundbreaking for the new library is happening this afternoon at 3. Now, they believe the timeline that they stay to it, and who knows what's going to happen, but the idea is for it to reopen here in Dale Avenue in 2025, and it is a massive project. I'm sure you've seen some of the imagery out there online. You can, of course, learn more at sawyerfreelibrary.org, but it is a huge undertaking, years and years in the work, and today is a very pivotal day, and we're excited to be a part of it. It was excited once again. Another drink for the mayor.
I haven't said excited that much. I actually try to stay away from that word because I know how overused it is.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll use it, I'm sure.
Well, joining us now is Lenore Maniaci. How are you, Lenore?
Hi,
it's great to
wonderful.
see
How
you.
are you both?
Great to see you.
Now, Lenore,
I'm excited
it says,
to see you.
Yeah. It says here you're a library patron. So what? So you love Sawyer Free Library. So yeah, what is your connection here, and what do you love so much about it?
Thanks for asking. So as a downtown resident, I started coming here with my daughter when she was a very young child.
Helena, right?
Helena, yeah.
Helena.
And it was amazing to participate in Mommy and Me type classes where the librarians would bring toys out, and I would see, oh wow, she really is at this developmental stage where she can utilize, something I didn't know about. So I was just always learning and growing along with her, taking out books to either work on sign language together or just kind of follow her development. And then as she became interested in books and reading, any of the topics that she loved, they were always available. The librarians do such a great job of curating the books that you see here, and it's just not only the books that we've enjoyed in time, the library of things is amazing. We got to experiment with a ukulele to kind of see, like, what are some things she might be interested in and ready for. So it was a great way to anticipate some of her developmental stages. I mean, even the first time that she took a plane and we were able to borrow an iPad and see, is this something that is going to be helpful? So having access to the technology as well as the
Without having to buy it.
bibliotech stuff, to
have it
test
tossed,
it out is
Interesting.
really phenomenal.
So, Lena, what was your initial draw to Sawyer Free? Was it to have Helena participate in programs, or was it for your own needs or curiosities?
I mean, I love libraries. They're the kind of places I'm probably going to visit when I'm traveling anyway. But I have to say that the Sawyer Free Library was a very intentional, welcoming space. Everything about it as you enter, from the signage that said everyone belongs here, everyone's welcome, to the art that featured windows into different local Gloucester artists, and the librarians being so genuinely helpful and resourceful. It was just a space that it made sense to keep coming to because it really was an anchor, like a community home. And I've learned that outside of City Hall, and other people may have said this before me, but that the library is the second most trafficked building in the city.
Nobody has said that.
It really is a home for people who don't yet have a home here, or a family for people who don't have family or fellowship. So I was really attracted just by the amazing calendar of events that they put on. And as a public health professional, I grew a real appreciation for libraries as part of our public health infrastructure as a city throughout the pandemic, because I thought,
So interesting.
look at what they're producing. They're giving us access to musicians who aren't playing anymore. They're putting together wellness talks to help people with challenging mental health throughout this time. Online classes, talks, support groups. I mean, just such a wealth of resources outside of the typical academic or even developmental things that you would expect from a library. So that's what kept me motivated to keep coming.
Yeah,
and I
nicely
think
said.
Also, some of my work outside of the library and community, that so many Gloucesterites are really very supportive of, whether it's climate action and racial justice. This is just such a wonderful place to kind of partner, and the library was doing things with crew, communities responding to extreme weather events, and so many things that are really going to help sustain us into the future. So it's a wonderful place to be.
It's so interesting. I have never heard anyone describe it as a resource for public health, or maybe even important to public health, but that is a really good point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially with all of the weather events that have happened and are coming, libraries really provide power stations. They provide places for people to be when they don't have access to homes that have experienced some kind of emergency, and they need heating or they need cooling, or this is going to be a major benefit to everyone in the town of Gloucester into the future.
Yeah.
Now, when you first started coming to the Sawyer Free Library, was it in this building when Helena
Yes. Yes,
was
absolutely.
really little, or so you started here?
Yes.
And then you moved
not
down
at the Y. Yeah, no, so I was a new community resident, so really coming here, this was, as I said, my first anchor into the town and my first home base, and I met such lovely people, and like even the librarians, they're so multi-talented, and then that would bring you out into the music community or to some other place that you got to explore, just because everybody who calls this place home is part of the vibrant, larger city and community.
Yeah. Have you been able to delve into the plans for the library moving forward, and has anything sort of jumped out at you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the new library. I mean, one of the things that I learned in coming to some of the meetings was that an access issue was around something called wayfinding, which means that the library has 2 entrances, but they're on different floors, right? And the children's room is kind of like tucked downstairs. And so I'm really excited for the fact that as they update just even the layout of the library, it's going to be much easier to locate like where you are in space and like where your children are safely located, and that there's going to be that dedicated children's space upstairs and the teen space and the digital maker space, and that those entrances and exits will be on the same floor. I think that's really big for accessibility. I love that we're going to have a quiet room because this was a wonderful place to work from home throughout the pandemic. On work from home days, and I just feel like there's so many ways to utilize a library as a community, like the meeting space. I mean, I'm jazzed for all of it, truly. I mean, the outdoor space was wonderful. If I needed time before my workday ended, and I could pick up my daughter and she could run around outside, and I could kind of finish up some emails on my phone, like just the built environment of the library is really important too, and how they link to gardens, and it really is part of the health and vibrancy of the city.
Well, I mean, obviously you're a great advocate for the library. So what are you telling friends and family about this place? Like, have you been able to bring more people and their children in to and share the wealth, so to speak?
Absolutely. I mean, my poor family, I dragged them all into campaigning for the library. I mean, they had a day, I remember, where they were doing photos, and they said, oh man, you know, we didn't really have any grandparents show up. And I was like, oh, no. To come down. And my husband testified to the city council, and, you know, really kind of turned the tide in that meeting where, you know, you wouldn't imagine that there was a naysayer for this amazing opportunity to have the library receive these grant fundings. But he really made some amazing comments from his own childhood experience as a Gloucester guy, growing up and coming here since the 80s, you know, when he was maybe fined like 2 cents for not returning something for his book report.
That's so funny.
You know, I was just bringing up points as in, what? If we didn't have the money, we're not going to maintain the man at the wheel? You know, all these things. Like, this is the beating heart of our city. So, absolutely. I mean, I really, my daughter was essential in just being a part of sharing her love for the library with others. And we've definitely invited friends and family members to the crafting events and all of the wonderful events that they did. Comic-Con, I mean, that was such a exciting time for kids of all ages.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's really wonderful to see little Helena right over there, and to imagine her as a little one, like already being really comfortable in a library and feeling like it's a safe place for her and her mom and her dad.
Absolutely.
It's really lovely.
Well, I think that's a cool, we've heard it a few times today, is we're trusted resources, whether it's human or information or whatever it is, this is where you go.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Was it not Sophia, the mom?
Colleen
and Sophia.
Yeah, no, but I think actually it was Seamus's mom who said she
Sophia.
she really appreciated that it was
safe. I'm sorry, Siobhan.
And you could learn, Siobhan. Yeah, and safe and a place to learn. You could, you felt safe and you could learn things. Yeah. That's what a combination that is, right?
And inclusive, right?
Yes.
I mean, the library doesn't turn people away. This is where you connect to all kinds of social supports and people
Yeah.
supports
Mm.
and
Right.
real care and connection.
Yeah. So, Lenore, are you and Helena, are you frequenting the temporary library over in Main Street?
Yes,
what are you
we
doing
have.
over there?
Yeah, we have.
They did a great
Taken
job with
out-
that space.
I really think so. And that's why I'm so excited to see what they're going to do with the new children's space. I mean, we have such wonderful children's librarians. They really put their heart into the programming, and it's so generous. The bags they put together for pickup, for people to come in and take things to do and craft at home, it was really impressive to me. So I do think we have a phenomenal library here at Sawyer Free.
Word of advice or last words for the community who are they're feeling off of your you're exuding it today, right? So they're feeding off of that now. So what encouragement would you give to them to give Sawyer Free Library a try, or maybe to just try to learn more information about what it's going to be here just a couple of years from now?
This is your library. I mean, this is our place. So I just think it's your window, it's your access to everything in the world, everything that's coming, everything we don't know about yet. Librarians are such wonderful resources who can curate anything for you, from helping you to prepare for a job interview. There's folks here who work on resumes with people, to, you know, where do you think we're going to be coming to learn about AI? Like,
Right.
there's a whole new ecosystem out there. So there is nothing you can't learn or do or access within a library, and your contribution to this campaign is going to make sure that your values, your interests, your legacy, whatever it is that you want to see be a part of this wave you catch and bring to other people in the city. So
Nicely said.
Beautifully said, Lenore.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time, and it was nice meeting you and Helena, even though Emily's taking care of her over there.
she was a little shy today.
So, and we're happy for you too. We're happy that you're happy that this is happening and moving forward, and that and you're so excited for the events here and all the things that Sawyer Free has done for you and your family.
I've missed this library. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see you all here. And please keep donating. Just, you know, every time I see one of those Instagram posts or an opportunity to celebrate or get something in the mail, I think I really just kind of caught that feeling of being a real participant and lover of this place. And I hope others will too, and really think about what it's already contributed to their life, and, you know, different generations of their family and their hopes for the future. And just remember that every little bit really does count. So.
There you have it.
Thank you
Lenore
so
Maniaci,
much.
thank you so much for your
Thank
time. We
you.
appreciate
Thanks
you
so
spending time with us today.
Bye, Helena.
Bye, Helena. All right, so where are we at, Em? Oh!
Look who's here.
No. All right, so folks, if you're just tuning in, she is Heather Atwood. I'm Kory Curcuru, coming to you live from Sawyer Free Library. We're in the old library at 2 Dale Avenue, but today is the groundbreaking ceremony. Is going to be happening right around 3 o'clock today. You can come down and check that out if you'd like to. The Big Tent is set up right across from the fire station here in the parking lot. And we've heard from a litany of guests singing the praises of Sawyer Free. And Heather and I are also big supporters of Sawyer Free as well. I love it here, and I use them almost every single day, to be honest with you, for the work that I do. So, and this is a special treat as well, Heather.
It's a very special treat.
Hey, how are you?
Great to see you, Ann Margaret
Oh,
Ferrante.
it's great to be here.
Our state rep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you,
thank
Ann Margaret? It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, I mean, what a day, right?
Right, it's an amazing day. I don't care what the weather is out. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I mean, how excited are we? I was just looking at this room and thinking back to when I was probably 3, 4, 5 being here. And it's amazing how, like, the only thing that's changed in this room in the last 45 or 46 years is just the paint. Right?
Yeah.
It's just the paint.
Yeah. The
That's
rug might be
only
the
thing.
same, actually, now that
The
I'm
rug
looking at
might
it.
be.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it might be the same.
The
But no, I can remember the enthusiasm that I would have running into the library. And I think both of you know my mother was a children's librarian.
Yep.
And Drew, who works in my office, his mother's still a librarian here at the Sawyer Free. So we're very proud of this project and so excited for it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now, so Ann Margaret, a couple of people mentioned you during their interviews earlier today. Your and Bruce's Bruce Tarr
Yes.
involvement in helping securing grants and funding. Can you just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we worked very hard on the state level, and as did the the board here at the library in order to get those matching funds. And it's basically matching funds, and then there was additional funding to compensate for the increased costs with inflation, the increased construction costs. And so, you know, we've worked lockstep with the board of the library, with the mayor, to make sure that this project would happen.
So what does that mean? You're meeting with those guys and you're saying, look, this is really important, this really matters, this city really needs this?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
what
so
you're
we're
saying?
meeting, we meet with the board, and you know, the board, it wasn't, again, I'm the daughter of a librarian, Drew's the son of a librarian, right? It's not a hard sell.
Yeah.
It's the library.
Yeah.
Everybody that knows me knows that I've really focused on education and, and research and just, you know, trying to inspire little ones. We recently did a project with Dolly Parton and her Imagination
Oh,
Library.
that's such a
So
great-
we
yeah.
run that here in the district and
Yeah.
a couple other towns along Route 1,
Yeah.
where kids can get books sent to their home, but they can also come here to the library and get them as well, and really fostering this environment of imagination and learning and just discovery, you know, for little ones. And the library board was talking to us and saying not only could we do more of that, but we could also do more for adults. And I know there's high school students and college students that will come here to study because home may be too hectic in order for them to study. And Sawyer Free's always been a great place of meeting, and the Lyceum and all of the programs that they have. And it was like, all right, let me think about this for 50 years. And if you look out those windows just past the fire station, you can see the roof to my house. So I'm like right in the neighborhood too. So it's like, all right, let's think about this.
Yeah.
You know, we need an upgrade. It's been 50 years since we've had at least, right? Since we've had a total renovation, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of collecting all the information on the local level and then bringing it all to my colleagues at the state level and saying, okay, look, we got to do this. Libraries are relevant. They need to continue to be relevant. You know, in order to continue to have that relevancy, we need to go forward with the renovation.
Yeah.
Did you spend a lot of time here as a high school kid doing work?
Some in high school, but really it was the formative years. Like
interesting.
you know, Mary Poppins to date is still my favorite movie.
Me
Chitty
too,
Chitty
me
Bang
too.
Bang might be the second
Yeah.
one. First time I saw them, it was here at the Sawyer Free Library.
Yep.
That's great.
When I was little, I remember in kindergarten, I wanted to be a weatherman because my father
Oh my
was
God,
a
that's so
fisherman.
funny. So did I, Anne Margaret. When I
Yes,
was
yeah,
little.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
weather
you
books
do.
were
I
right,
do.
you came right in, and they were right in the center aisle, and I had my little elementary.
Because the weather was so important to your family.
Exactly, it was
Yeah.
so, like, we lived or died, but literally by the weather,
Right,
right? And so
right.
it was like, all right, I know at 12 o'clock, the 12 o'clock news comes on.
Yeah.
On Channel 5, my grandmother's gonna have it on. I need to understand, because the weatherman, they used to do this more often, but they would have all the mapping of the highs and the lows.
Yeah, with the
and
different
Yeah.
colored flags.
the
and-
different colored
Oh yeah,
flags.
the low front and the high. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did it mean if it was blue? What did it mean if it was red?
Yep.
What if the flags were to the left? What if they were to the right? You know, what is all
How many
of that?
5-year-olds keep a tide chart? Yeah. Right?
Yeah, no, but you and I, and full disclosure here,
Yeah.
Kory and I went to school together, so he and I were like the nerds, and probably
Yeah.
still are to this day.
That's really
Yeah,
cute.
yeah.
Wait, what does it mean when the flag is one way to the right or the left?
It's where the front's coming in from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So where it's pointing is where it's going? The front is going that way?
Know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
Coming
because we
from-
were
okay.
kids in the 70s, they were literally using like marker boards, and they would draw
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
fronts
yeah.
and the different color flag. Oh, it's a blue flag, so there's a low pressure system coming in this way.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta hang out
Next
with you
time
too.
tonight, when you watch the weather, you'll notice that there's blue flags and red flags on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the blue is the cool front?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anne Margaret, looking at this from 10, 20,000 feet, now what does a refreshed and improved Sawyer Free Library mean for the city of Gloucester?
Well, I think one, it's great for the downtown area, and like I said, I'm only a block, not even I'm a half a block away from the library and from this area. So for folks that come downtown, and I know you just had Lenora on, and she was talking about coming with her daughter, and for families that are in the downtown area, what a gem to have this and to have it all refreshed. I think in terms of the library itself and its ability to inspire, to be able to rethink, I think everybody would agree that in the last 15 to 20 years, technology has changed so much. I mean, I remember starting as a rep 16 years ago, and we picked up the cell phone, and I said to I call them the kids in my office, right? Because they know all the technology. So can I actually get an email on this and read it?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
now it's like
So
you get
fast.
you get the email, you get the text, right? See, we have to understand that technology's changed and how we learn.
Oh, yeah.
And how Lenora's daughter is going to learn as compared to how we learned is a little bit different.
Yeah, the mimeograph machines are gone.
The
right?
mimeograph machines are
Yeah.
gone. You know, it's even the copiers are kind of gone, right?
Yeah.
You kind of just do it all through the computer now and the printer and what have you. But so much has changed that allows us to catch up to that change and to make it more workable. And as you said, you know, the high school students, the college students. I think I use this library more in law school than
Oh,
most
interesting.
because I just needed a quiet place to come and do
Oh,
my
interesting.
reading and go over stuff.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that at home with everybody running around. You really need to have that focus. And so, yeah, there was the library, you know, at the law school, but also just on the weekends and everything. It was easier to just come down to the Sawyer Free Library
Yeah.
and be able to, you know, work from here.
And you know what else Sawyer Free did that was awesome was during COVID as well, is they opened the space up for high school students to come in to study and do homework too.
Yes.
Which was pretty amazing. Because some were either cooped up or you needed to go somewhere to research or need a quiet time.
Or
Could have been a lot of noise at home.
See a
Yeah.
human being
See
besides their
another- right.
family
Yeah.
or their friends. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's important, and the meeting space is important too.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at every other district, and I think we're blessed here in Gloucester because we have an active community, and we can't take that for granted.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes groups, you know, they don't have their own facilities, and they need some place just to come together to meet and to have their discussion and work out their work plans and what have you. And this place will be the place to do that, and that's what it should be. Like, I think Meredith Fine and I were talking about this one time. We were talking about libraries, and I'm like, there, you know, you go back to ancient Egypt and Alexandria, because again, we're nerds. I mean, and you hear about like the establishment of the library, right? It was like the temple of knowledge. All knowledge was going to come through, whether it was on the local level or whether it was on a higher level. It was going to come through the libraries, through books. And now we're saying, yes, we're still going to have the books, but we're going to have the technological advancements to bring that information in and to just really be able to open up minds, whether they're adults, whether they're children, whether they're someplace in between.
But a consistent thread through this whole conversation has been there are also people here.
Yes.
And that won't change. That hasn't changed
No,
before,
no.
and I think that is still so important.
Well, and it will continue to invite people in, right? I
Right.
mean, everything. I don't know of anything that doesn't change and get renovated and get brought up to meet the moment. And now the library's finally getting its chance to come up and meet the moment. And as it meets the moment, it's going to be so much more welcoming and attractive for folks to come into.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, you have an excellent staff here. You have people that use the library, but I think it's going to be used so much more and in so many different ways than we're used to, that it's really going to allow us to grow and capture and sustain that ability to inspire with knowledge.
On that
Go
note,
ahead.
say a few words about the sustainability piece and how important that is for the city of Gloucester.
Oh, it's just, you know, we need to move towards sustainable buildings, sustainability, sustainable energy, and what have you. And this building just takes the lead. So once again, you know, we have at the focal point in the middle of town the example of how to do it and how to do it right. And this building does it right. And again, it should inspire, you know, others who are designing new construction and what have you, not just in Gloucester, not just on Cape Ann, but statewide in terms of how to do this. And it's almost like a twofer, right? You have like the whole update of here's the new technological library of the you know, the year 2023. And then you also have the highlight of the construction and, oh, we're going to lead the way and we're going to show you what sustainable construction and sustainable buildings, you know, look like at this place in time.
Right, right. It's not just an office building. It's this
No, it's
public
not
space
just an
that
office
is
building,
going to
and-
be
yeah.
LEED certified. Yeah.
Yeah, and in so many, in so many ways, the library continues to inspire.
Mm.
And the library board and the staff here, sort of deserve a medal for the fact that it continues to inspire. It's a live building.
They should name a medal after Sawyer, maybe to give to some
I
of the
know,
staff.
right?
here,
Can you imagine?
So you
I
know
think
what?
I might have one of those.
I'm sure you do. You probably both do, right?
No, only one of us.
No, not you.
Trust me.
You wouldn't get one.
No.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Heather and Ann Margaret. Certain keywords and phrases kept popping up in the conversations today, right? Welcoming, all-inclusive, safe space, things that you don't really consider. Like, that's not why I'm using the library. I mean, people use it for different reasons, but there was pretty important stuff and impressive stuff to hear from others
I'm keeping
too.
a list, actually,
Yeah.
because there were a lot of, where's my list? I don't know where it went. Anyway, I'll find it by the time we wrap it up. But yes, it was, there were so many interesting points that I had not thought about at all. Well, I love Sophia saying, I love the stack. When you leave, when you've been wandering through and you take your stack of books away for the week, and it's just like, there's no feeling that you don't get that anywhere but in a library, your stack of books that you're gonna get to read that.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I told Drew, coming in here, I said, this is like going on a magic carpet ride, right? Because every time I came into the library, and Safathia, who grew up kitty corner to me, she's the full block away, I'm the half a block away. But we used to talk about how we didn't have the privilege of going on vacation every year. You know what I mean? But you could come grab a book here, and you could see something. And then all of a sudden, your imagination took hold, and it was like school vacation week. Let's go to the library. There's going to be something there to see. There's going to be something there to do, and it would just take off. And that building's still going to. This building is still going to have the essence of the building that we remember, and just being able to have that creative wonder.
Yeah, something for Gloucester to be very, very proud of, and it's such an important day, and it was been awesome to spend some time with you and Margaret. How are you doing, Ann
I'm
Margaret?
doing great.
Yeah?
You look
I'm
wonderful.
doing great. Thank you.
You do,
Thank you. I know it's a
yeah.
little different. I walk around the district, and some people will say, "Wait, I recognize the voice."
You look beautiful.
But,
You
so
really
I
do.
really
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Thank you.
It's great to
And it's
see you.
another important election season in Gloucester too, so I always seem to bump into you during,
Oh,
every
yeah.
time I turn around, it's election season here.
It happens often.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of democracy, right?
Yeah.
If it's not us running, it's the local elections running, and
Yeah.
when we're running, it's the state election. And we got a presidential coming up, so I'm looking forward to being re-invited to come join the two of you so we can talk.
We love that.
Election
We would
and
love
what
that.
have you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'd
always
love that
great
too.
seeing you, Ann Margaret.
Yeah.
So
All right.
thanks for spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll bump into you sooner than later, you
Yes.
know. And congratulations to all of us for being from here and being part of this and being part of Sawyer Free moving on.
And congratulations to everybody who's watching. There's a whole crowd that's going to show up today, but I think this is a win for the whole community.
Yeah, I think
Agreed.
so too. Yeah.
Thank you very much
All
for
right,
being
Thank
with
you
us,
so
Ann
much
Margaret.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
What a nice surprise, huh,
It was a
Heather?
great surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never get that honor.
I know.
Having Margaret with us.
Yeah. So just to put a little ribbon on today's show, the groundbreaking for Sawyer Free Library's new renovation kicks off today at 3 p.m. The shovels in the dirt are already out there. I think the weather's going to cooperate. They have a big tent out there anyway. Lots of dignitaries lined up to speak and participate. So please stop by if you want to check that out. What you think, Heather? What a great show today, huh?
Oh, I didn't cry, but I was close.
I know.
I was really close. Yeah. No, I want to just point out, this is my list. I found my list.
Yeah.
Okay, the face-to-face interactions that are so important in this space. It happened during COVID, it still happens. The stack, as I mentioned, or Sophia mentioned, a safe space and a place to learn. That combination, that's just so powerful.
Yep.
But also, I want to repeat, the public health element of this. Whether it's mental health, behavioral health, just being able to get someplace, get out of your house and talk to some people and check out a book or check out an audiobook or something like that, that is so important.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just my list. I wanted to
No, I think that's great.
review the high points
Yeah.
in these conversations. Yeah.
And I'm not joking. I literally am using something from Sawyer Free Library nearly every single day. Probably, it's almost every day, to be honest with you. And I've had friends, and I've told them, like, you should all have a library card. You never know. You can work through Sawyer Free online. They did an amazing job during COVID. An amazing job moving to a temporary spot above the old Mystery Train there for now too as well.
And again, those Gloucester Times archives that
Yeah.
are now
Oh
here.
man, I live off of those.
Yeah, and that's a whole new element that's part of
Yeah.
what they do.
But I also really enjoyed listening to like Mayor Verga and Ann Margaret talk about when they were kids in here too. I was one of those kids back then too. It's great to see all the changes here. And I will say too, like the staff here has always kicked ass. Like they are knowledgeable, helpful, friendly. We can beep it out. They're fantastic, no matter what floor you're on. So happy for everybody here as this project moves forward. So okay, that is that. We Heather and I want to thank our guests: Mern Sibley, Siobhan and Seamus Lucas, Jenny Benedict, Colleen and Sophia Hogan Lopez, John Brennan, Lenore and Helena Maniaci, Mayor Greg Verga, and State Representative Ann Margaret Ferranti. We of course have to thank our crew on camera. Mike Dennis, and I call him A-Pain, Alec Palmer. Floor manager, Emily Games. Production manager, Tyler Herenson. Our technical director, Tom Manning. Our digital director, Bridie O'Connell. Our operations coordinator, Emily Games. She's everywhere today. Our executive director, Eric Archer. Heather, our next show will be Tuesday, October 10th at Hammond Castle.
Oh, spooky.
Will we dress up? That's the thing.
I still have my costume from the last time we did. But
Do you?
yeah, I do. I
There
just
we go.
found it. Yeah.
Okay, we'll work on it.
Okay.
Maybe we'll be bookends, who knows. So, and you can stay tuned for all of our 2023 election coverage. Just follow our socials or go to 1620studios.org to learn more. We're covering all the forums and debates this election season. You can find a calendar there with all those dates for you, and we'll be broadcasting as much as we can live. So until next time, for Heather Atwood, I'm Kory Curcuru. Thanks to everybody at Sawyer Free Library for having us, and we will see you in the neighborhood.